You can't do anything in your life that's worth anything without another person helping you get there. You can't make $1 without somebody else making a half of a penny, a quarter of a penny. You can't do it. So somebody helped you do something.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Masters of Business. I'm your host, Brother Bedford. And once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy life to take a few moments to listen to the words that we have to share. And as always, I strive to bring you the best of Black America. There's so many brothers and sisters that are doing phenomenal things in the community, in the workplace, in their entrepreneurial careers. And many of us just don't know who they are. And so I've been blessed to meet brothers and sisters and strive to bring them to you to kind of get the nuances of what leads to their success and to really drive home the point that, you know, we're all the same. It just takes some skill, some discipline, some will, some mindset. All of these different things are what separates us from being, you know, having a mediocre life. And then as the person I'm getting ready to interview, I love whenever I'm talking to my brother Emerick, he always uses the word having a phenomenal life, right? And so we're going to talk about his phenomenal life and what makes the difference between a mediocre life and a phenomenal life. And so without further ado, I just want to welcome you, dear brother, and thank you so much for sharing your time with me.
Not a problem, sir. I'm happy to be here. You know, I'm flattered that you would even call me to say, hey, do this interview. Let's talk about this, because I appreciate that. It's a part of who we are that not enough of us exhibit. Let me put it that way, and that's the thing called humility.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I found, man, that's really the chief characteristic of success, right? Is even if a person hits a lick, you know how we used to say the term, you hit a lick,
right? Yeah.
If you don't maintain humility, it's only a matter of time for whatever successes or money that you've made, it'll dwindle, it'll fade away. Right. But if you maintain that spirit of humility, you can keep growing. And so you've been that, brother, and I thank you. You've been an excellent example of that. And even when you just talked about sharing, I mean, your list of charitable contributions and giving back of your time is lengthy, right? You have a lengthy track record of doing that. And so you literally, you know, practice what you preach. And so again, thank you so much, brother, for sharing of your time.
My obligation. That's my obligation.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
That's my obligation.
You know,
yeah.
See, you're saying some things. We got to get into this. This is good stuff. I mean, most people don't think of, you know, giving back and teaching and sharing as an obligation, as a duty. You know, we're in this as your mentor and friend, and my mentor and friend, Dr. George C. Frazier, uses the term this European rugged individualism, where most of us don't feel obligated or duty bound to do this type of work.
Bro, let me ask you this question, right? I can't do the things I'm able to do unless somebody else blazed the trail, opened up somebody's mind, taught me something, gave me a hand up, a leg up, a foot up. You know, kind of like we was a tree. You know, in Detroit, I know y'all didn't have that many trees, but you did climb a couple of trees. And when you climbed the tree and you wasn't tall enough to reach the branch, what happened? Somebody had to give you a boost.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? And so that same thing happens in life. Somebody's got to give you a boost.
That's right.
You can't do anything in your life that's worth anything without another person helping you get there. You can't make $1 without somebody else making a half of a penny, a quarter of a penny. You can't do it. So somebody helped you do something. So we can't sit around and act like I did this all on my own. I'm self-made. What the hell? What is self-made?
Don't exist, right?
It doesn't exist.
That's right. That's right.
So it's to me, it's my obligation to reach back.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. And we appreciate it. And you do that, man. So again, your bio is extensive. So I won't read the bio. We just want to tell our listeners, and we'll have some ways for them to reach out to you towards the end of our conversation. But the bio will be posted below somewhere on this page. Just make sure you read it and get all of the nuances of all of the things that Emerick has done and is still doing. And so we'll post that. But I want you're the operating principal and owner of Keller Williams Preferred Properties, and you have a very nice portfolio of prime commercial real estate in downtown Largo. But I want you to kind of explain to our audience, what does that mean to be a principal owner or operating principal and an owner of Keller Williams Preferred Property? What does that mean?
Okay, what that means is that I'm responsible for vision, capital, and leadership. And then the people around me support that mission. And what it means, and breaking it down a little further, the brokerage, it's a large brokerage. We have 600 agents. With that brokerage, I have 2 other partners. I'm the principal, and then the other 2 are partners that are my business partners inside of that business.
Mm-hmm.
What it ultimately means that if nobody else is responsible, I'm the one that's chiefly responsible for everything that fails. I'm not responsible for the successes. I'm responsible for the failure.
Right. The buck stops with you, right?
Exactly. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm responsible for the success. No, I think sometimes I believe the success happens in spite of me.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
And because of everybody else. And the truth is, in any business, you want people around you that are smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the smartest person in the room and you're in business, you might be in trouble.
Right. Right.
And so that just means I'm the operating principal. I'm the majority owner. I'm the majority voice. I'm chiefly responsible for the failures, and vision, capital, and leadership.
Yeah. Now your brokerage is it number 1 in Prince George's County?
We are number 1 in Prince George's County.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
yeah, and I think you've done. Let me just $5 billion in settled transactions. I mean, I
just say over.
Yeah, because this is probably conservative. I mean, you guys have been at it you've been doing this for over 28 years. A lot of experience here.
Well, that's just me personally. We've been, the business itself, this is our 17th year as a brokerage. I personally, 29 years.
Right. Wow, this is awesome, man. And you said a couple things, because I've been blessed to meet a lot of your, the agents that work for you, right? And you can see the phenomenal team that you've built. So kind of give us some insight. You kind of share what this means, and we're definitely going to go back to your story, but I kind of want to give people a picture of the type of organization that you run today. How many agents do you have?
Just over 600.
I mean, think about that, and you're the principal. So you have this, and that's just the agents. I'm sure there are other people in the organization that do different parts of it. So you have this huge organization. So I really want to kind of tap into what makes Emerick this phenomenal team builder. I mean, you've built a phenomenal team over the last 27 years. And again, every time I see your agents, they're always at the Power Networking Conference, or when we go to the different groups, the real estate speaking groups, you see your agents, and they are always speaking very highly of you, and they love the culture that you've built. So what are the secrets to Emerick's team building skills? Well,
here's the deal, and I have to say this, by the grace of God, there go I. Right. I've always had this gift of this thing where I meet people where they are. You don't have to come where I am. I'm willing to meet you where you are and help you with that walk. And I think that's important for a leader, particularly in our profession, because all of those 600 people are independent contractors.
Mm.
And for me, my thought process has always been, we have independent contractors who decided to hang their license with us. They can take their license and hang their license with any brokerage they choose.
Right.
They decide to hang their license with us. So we owe them a debt of obligation to make sure that we're helping them to grow their business to the highest level.
Wow.
And it's a privilege to be in business with them. And that's important to me because there's nothing worse than being taken for granted. The reason why our brokerage even exists is because Prince George's County is a predominantly Black/African-American community.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is we would have to go to the other communities to get the better classes. We would have to go to the other communities to get the better training. And then aesthetically, when you went to those other communities, even though you may be at the same brokerage, whether it be Remax, Coldwell Banker, when you went to those other communities, their offices aesthetically just looked better.
Right.
Like if you go in there, they would have hardwood desks, granite countertops, you know, 6-piece crown molding, just really ornate and decorative offices.
Right.
And then it would come to our county, Prince George's County, they might put like a 1-piece, 3-inch piece of chair rail crown molding. We would have a Formica desk made out of drywall. We would have cheap flea market art on the wall. I mean, it wasn't the same. And so the reason why I started this brokerage is because I said, the Black people in Prince George's County deserve more.
Mm.
They deserve a better aesthetically pleasing environment to do business. When their customers and clients walk in the door, they should feel appreciated. The agents should have a place where the brokerage is helping them grow their business to the highest level. And what's more important about us and our brokerage, what I've always said is we want to have the best trained and educated professionals on the street serving the residents of Prince George's County, because we Black and they Black, and we always want to exude Black excellence, and we always want to be phenomenal at what we do. That's the reason why we exist, Brother Bedford. And we did that, and we've been #1 in this county for the past probably 5-6 years. And when we weren't #1, we were either #2 or 3. And it's been that way for 15 years.
Wow.
And we did that. We operate from this perspective because the people in our space deserve more.
Right.
And when Black folks decide to come work with Black folks, the Black owners of that business, no matter what business, I believe that they owe a different set of debt of gratitude, and they have a different responsibility to make sure that the people in their space are the best.
Man.
Period. And as you said, they're giving back to the community because the community is given to them in form of a way of earning a living.
Yeah, this is good. And so we're definitely going to get to your story prior to this, but you've sparked some thoughts. And just for the audience that's listening, so we're saying #1 in Prince George's County, but your brokerage is still in the top of real estate brokerages on the East Coast. So it's #1 in Prince George's County, but you're still doing some significant damage to still be in the top.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the number. I think it's top 400, top 500.
Well, let me, since you asked, in the Keller Williams system, which is 800 market centers, we're #64. And you got to put that into perspective, because you can look at all of the numbers and there are lies and then there's statistics. You know that, right?
Right.
Well, so we're dealing with facts, right? Keller Williams is the most profitable real estate company in the country. When I say profitable, I mean actually turning a profit.
Right.
Okay. We're #64 in that system out of 800. There are 80,000 real estate brokerages in the United States. We were ranked 430 out of 800,000. 80,000, my fault.
430, number 430.
443.
Man, this is beautiful, man. That's powerful. I mean, and again, the reason I wanted to bring up those numbers, because we were just talking about the things that you've done to raise the level of quality in terms of service to the community, but also the service to the brokers who come to be able to be in this type of establishment, that a world-class building, world-class architecture, all of those types of things. So my next question to you is, have you always been that way? What was the impetus for Emerick to think of having this world-class presentation, right? This front stage look that the community is deserving of? Was that something that started with when you were a little boy? Because I studied a story, just to kind of put it into context. I studied a story of a I won't say the name, but a premium coach that I know that does premium conferencing or workshops. But he got the idea from being a little boy and sitting in the lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel and always just looking at this quality service, the way that they were on time, all of the glitter, all of the shine. And he brought that into his business world, and everything is a reflection of that. And it sounds like that's what you've done with your operation, that you want it to be reflective of a 5-star restaurant or a 5-star hotel. Was that in you when a little boy, or what got you motivated to do that?
All right, let's start the first place. I'm from West Baltimore, so you know I wasn't sitting in the lobby of the Four Seasons.
Let's
make that clear.
Let's get that out the way, right?
Let's get that out the way right now. I would not sit in the lobby of the Four Seasons.
So that wasn't the motivation. So we know that wasn't the motivation.
You know that wasn't the motivation.
Right.
Yeah, when I had to break it down, Brother Bedford, I had to, I really had to take a look at myself and my life.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of cases, in a lot of cases in my life, I've been kind of I've considered myself the underdog. And I had to really look at it. And I kind of when I look at it, I may have had some self-esteem issues somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Where I never felt that I was good enough. I always had to be better. And then I take a look at, really my mother and what some of the things my mother used to say to me. And I'll start this since you asked me what caused me to be that way. I was a lawn boy first. I was a lawn boy. We had lawns. Yeah, I'm from West Baltimore. We had one of the few blocks that had grass in the front. Let me make that clear. And so I used to cut grass, and I would always cut people's grass and do the best job I could do. I would edge it up, snip it, make sure, because I wanted to make sure that they invited me back and they would be my customer.
Right.
The same thing with shoveling snow. If I shoveled one of the neighbors' snow, it was going to be clean because I wanted to get some money.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just me. I'm just doing it right. I was a paper boy. I don't know if you have been a paper boy before.
Yeah.
But back in the day, remember you guys used to have your bond money? And if you didn't make all your collections, they would take your short out your bond money.
Right.
And it was crazy because I would have a paper route in the spring, the summer, and the fall, and I would quit in the winter. You could have this junk in the winter. I ain't delivering no papers in the winter.
Right.
And so every spring, the manager of the paper routes would come looking for me to see what kind of route I wanted, because he knew I was always going to have all my collection, make my bond. All my customers paid me on time because I made sure their paper got there. I made sure their paper was rolled up. I made sure their paper was never wet. Mm-hmm. And I always presented myself well for when I came to collect money, because that's when they wouldn't see me delivering the paper because I'd be rolling. Right. They would see me on Saturday morning when I went to collect.
Right.
And as I look at everything that I've done, pretty much, I've always looked at being the best at it. And that's just something that about me. Like I said, I believe it's probably there's a lack of confidence in some places where I felt that I had to overcompensate, even being a basketball player, right? Mm-hmm. I played basketball in the military, and I was an undersized power forward. I'm only 6'1", right? I'm playing guys 6'5", 6'6", and it was just kind of sort of like a chip on my shoulder, because you may be more athletic than me. You may can jump higher than me, However, I'm going to find a way to beat you. You're not going to outwork me.
Right.
And that's just the way I am. And my work ethic has always been that way, where I will work until I'm exhausted or until my objective is accomplished. And I've just always been that way. I've always had that kind of drive.
Man,
and so
that's good. Go ahead. Finish your thought there.
And so with that being in mind, right, when opening up and because we bring in the context of the brokerage, there was a chip on my shoulder because all of the rest of the major brokerages were white owned.
Mm-hmm.
And my question was, why can't we have a great Black brokerage? Then, another way, you remember I told you, I think I had some kind of chip on my shoulder, not being enough, not being adequate, being underdog. And then I tell you what really, when we first opened up, what really got me. 3 people, non-Black people. One of them said, if that brokerage thing don't work for you, you can always come work for us.
Oh, yeah.
The other one said, I don't know if I should say this language on your show.
Please.
Okay. The other one said,
free zone. We free.
Okay. The other one came to me and said, Emerick, you got a lot of balls opening up a real estate company.
Mm.
This is what they really said to me.
I'm listening.
And
Go
then
ahead.
the third one said, y'all got some high rent over there. I don't know how y'all gonna pay it.
Mm.
Okay. Is that our dialogue? Okay, game on.
Right.
Remember, I said, you can't outwork me because we doing this interview right now and I'm sitting right in my office. I ain't at home.
Right.
You can't outwork me because I'm going to make sure that at the end of the day, I get what I'm supposed to get. So let me tell you the moral of the story. You ready?
Come on.
The one that said, if that if their office don't work for you, you can always come work for us. A year later, we were #1 in the market. And the sheriff was putting their furniture out on the sidewalk because they got evicted.
Come on.
The next one, they say you got a lot of balls, open up a real estate company. Their company went bankrupt. And the other one that said, y'all, the rent kind of high, I don't know how y'all gonna pay it. I don't even know where he is.
All right.
So 17 years later, we're #1. We got 600 agents. What's your question again?
Right. No. It's perfect.
What's their question again? And we are the most respected brokerage in Prince George's County. Matter of fact, Brother Bedford, we have 2 things that people say about us. #1, they say if you do business with one of those Keller Williams agents, they're difficult to do business with because they always want to have their paperwork right. They listen to logic. They always want to have their paperwork right because they're difficult to because we want to do
corners, no shortcuts.
We don't cut no, so it's difficult to work with us.
Right.
Then we have people say, well, we don't want to come work at your company because y'all got a dress code.
And that's
so you don't want to look good and do business the right way. We might not be the right company for you. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
But being #1 has a price on it.
This is good, man. This is good stuff, man. Because most people, and so when you said it, my interest was immediately piqued because that's something that I've been studying just about presentation and world-class experience and a world-class presentation. And you're right, you and possibly George. George, and I'm speaking of Dr. Frazier for those who don't know, Dr. Frazier, he doesn't cut corners either. So the conference is always world class. It's the top technology, it's the top colors, it's all of these things. And then people would always ask, well, why do you go through these extremes? And of course, his motto is, of course, Black excellence, right? And so for you to say that in an industry that you're right, most people don't equate Black excellence with real estate brokerages or even real estate mortgages. But here it is, you've done it, but you've proven the formula being very successful, one, by being #1, but then as I alluded to earlier, the quality of people that you attract, your team to the company, it says a lot about the environment and the space that you're creating that makes people want to work for you. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Let me make this clear, Brother Bedford. I'm being, I'm transparent.
Absolutely.
It don't make people want to work for me. It actually, in a lot of cases, repel people
Right.
Because people don't want to be held to a standard.
Right.
Like I told you, we deal with a lot of self-employed, incentive paid people, which are called independent contractors in real estate, right?
Right.
And so they don't want to be held accountable. The reason why a lot of people come into real estate is because they don't want to work a job. And they say, because I want to control my time and I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
That's just not what we do here.
Right.
Right? You can't come here and do what you want to do, because we got rules, we got guidelines, right? And the people that do what they want to do, those aren't the people who are at the top of the food chain, Brother Bedford.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're just not. Because if you're clear, if you're an entrepreneur, right, you clearly understand that your motivation for doing business is through the service of your clients, which means that even though you believe you're doing what you want to do, you're really doing what your clients pay you to do, which is provide them with excellent service. And let's be real, you know, you don't always do what you want to do. You do what's in the best interest of your client.
Right. That's right.
And that's the way that we operate. So everybody's not running to us to work with us. We repel a lot of people because a lot of people don't want to be held accountable and they don't want standards in their life. And that's okay.
That's right.
We're just not your group of people because we have standards.
It's profound. That's profound. So you created an atmosphere that repels and attracts, right? It
Absolutely.
And that's beautiful. Now, I want to get back to this because, again, the work that you've done, and we haven't even touched on, you know, how did the investing and all of that type of stuff. I want to ask you those questions as well. But you started going back down memory lane with the paper route and all of those different things. So I kind of want you to
shoveling snow. Don't leave out that one.
Right, shoveling snow, right? And then you even drop that nugget in there about playing a little ball in the middle of and stuff. So I kind of want you to pick up there. I mean, let's go back and tell us what type of guy was Emerick growing up, because we see now, and we're talking excellence and, you know, number one and all of this type of stuff, but what type of guy were you growing up? And then more importantly, because I know the value and the importance of your mother, because you always talk about the lessons that she taught you. So talk about that time period, you growing up in your relationship with your mother and what she taught you.
Well, let's go back. You said the person I was growing up. I'm still that same person. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm consistent. Right. I'm either consistently good or consistently bad. Either way, I'm consistent, right? I'm consistent. But, you know, growing up, I was always that guy that people could count on, right? Because for me, and I say this, you know, I have my conversation about relationships. I say it all the time, relationships will take you places money can't.
Right.
You know,
you say that all the time.
You know, you don't have a financial issue. You don't have a money issue. You don't have a business issue. The only issue you have is you don't have the right relationships. Right. That's the right relationships will solve any issue, problem, trouble, concern that you have ever on earth.
Right. This is good.
It just will. It's the relationships. And so for me, I've always been a relationship kind of guy. I've got friends, Brother Bedford. I still have friends right to the day, 5 years old. Since I was 5, we still friends right today. Most of them have expired due to their choices, and we can talk about that too. I got some of them in jail. I got one. I ain't no shame in my game. Right to the day, I'm gonna get a text tomorrow. He gonna say my commissary is low. You know what I'm gonna do, Brother Bedford?
You gonna put something on
to my computer. I'm gonna go to my computer, hit that button, send that brother $300, $500. I'm gonna send it to him because that was my commitment. That's my oldest friend, Brother Bedford. One of my oldest friends. My mother used to have a little corner store. We used to eat candy in that little corner store when we was 4 and 5 years old, right? And unfortunately, you know, I learned some lessons from him. And unfortunately, he chose a different path, right? Does that make him not my friend? No, that doesn't make him not my friend. Actually, that makes him require my assistance even more. And I don't have an issue with that because, as I said before, by the grace of God, there go I. It probably was a circle of about 7 of us, Brother Bedford. And of that 7 is 2, it's we down to like 2 of us, to be honest. I'm 56 in 9 months. It was just 2 of us. And the 2 that's left, both of them. You know, both of them have a totally different set of friends than I do.
Mm.
Right. And then I have my friends when I moved to the next neighborhood that I've had since we've elementary school, since, you know, I was 7 years old. We still friends. Matter of fact, people don't even know we friends. People on to this day believe we brothers. Where your brothers at? You know,
Right.
You know, and it's that way.
That's how tight y'all were.
That's how tight we were.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's from elementary school. And I still have friends in that space. And although I have moved to a different space in my life,
Mhm.
as a person and financially, they still my friends, Brother Bedford.
Mhm.
I would go to West Baltimore, and don't get me wrong, I sit for maybe 30, maybe 45 minutes max, and I know I got to go.
You know your time limit.
I know my time, but I'm not going to neglect. If I'm riding down the street and I see a couple folks, it ain't beyond me to stop. We're going to chit chat, we're going to talk, and you know, hey, things looking a little different right now. Hey, I got to roll.
That's right. That's pretty good.
I got to roll. But you know, me growing up, that's what I've done. And that's why for me growing up, it's been all about relationships. It's been all about people. It's all about, you know, you never know who you're going to require to be in your life at the least expected moment. And as George say, be careful of the toes you step on today. It might be connected to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow. And I live by that. And so that's who I've been all my life growing up.
Yeah, this is good, man. And I can hear loyalty is huge for you. I can hear that's probably got to be one of your pillars, whether it's spoken or unspoken. Loyalty, I can hear that in your voice. Is huge for you. It's huge for you.
It is, because here's the deal, man. You know, people will, your life is like a train ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a train ride going from New York to Baltimore, New York to Washington, D.C. You start in Washington, D.C. You go to Baltimore. Some people are going to get on, some people are going to get off.
Right.
You go to Philadelphia. Some people are going to get on and some people will get off. There are very few people who are going to ride the train with you from Washington, D.C. to New York. Mm-hmm. Now, for one or two reasons, either because they decided to get off your train or you had to bless and release them from your train.
Right. That's right.
And it's very few that's going to take the ride with you. And those that you know and understand they were designed to take the ride with you, those are the people who you embrace.
Yeah.
Those are the people who you support them like they support you. You know, and like for me, I tell everybody, I've had one business partner for 27 years. I've had one wife for 35 years.
Right.
So, you know, I'm a relationship kind of guy.
Yeah.
I just am. It's who I am. And the people that support me, I'm going to support them. Hands down. And anybody that knows me, they say, go to Emerick. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And whatever he said he's going to do, that's what he's going to do. And if he can't do it, and if he didn't do it, he's going to tell you he didn't do it.
Right. This is good. This is good. Now, you mentioned the other thing that you're very consistent in mentioning the choices that one make, and you talked about clearly, you know, some of the partners that we grow up with, they made some different choices, and you made some choices too. So I know eventually you ended up in the military. Well, what choices did you have to make prior to going to the military? Because I do know a few people who was that was like their last option. It was like either the military or the joint, right? So what happened with you in that?
That wasn't me, Brother Bedford. Okay. Let me make that clear.
Right.
Let me tell you, I've been in some cases I was scared straight. In some cases, I was too loyal. Right. They came, but I told you my friends, you know, my 7 closest friends, 5 of them dead.
Right.
Right. For one reason or another. And the other 2, they did. And so here's the deal. For me, I was always a good student. I was always a good student. I wasn't the best student. And I say this, and I don't say this to boast about it. I didn't study. I did my homework to whatever degree it could hold my attention.
Right.
Right. I was a BC student, and I did what I was supposed to do when I was supposed to do it in school. And so I had some cousins that went into the military. I always saw that as an option. I was really gifted in some areas, and one was back then in the early 1980s. I went to a school that had computer programming, COBOL to be exact, COBOL and RPG, and I was really good at figuring out things. I'm not that good at math, but when you give me something and you put it in front of me and you say, you got to figure this pattern out, I can do things like that. And so I was really good at that. And one of my teachers said, you're really good at this computer thing. You should get into electronics because, somebody's going to always have to fix these computers.
Right.
And I was really good at things like that. So that's what spurred my thought of going into the military, because I had two cousins that were in the military, and doing that and being in electronics, that was a great place to go. I talked to some folks at IBM, but I was coming out of high school. IBM doesn't take people who are coming out of high school. You had to have some kind of service behind you.
Right.
In any event, I was going to school full. What happened is I was going to school full. I went into the Air Force Reserve first. And then I was going to school full time and working full time. I was working in a gas station. I was working in a self-service gas station back in the day. I don't know if you remember, but the booth of the self-service gas station when they first started out was right in the middle between all of the pumps.
Yeah,
that's like a death trap.
Yeah, my grandfather owned a gas station. I used to work at a gas. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sitting in the middle of this thing, and I would work there all night long from 11 to 7. I would get off there, go take a shower, and then go to school by 9 o'clock. And I did that for like a semester and a half. I would be falling asleep, doing homework at night. And then I went and I saw my friends who were active duty military. They all drove nice cars. They were going to school and they were making money. They had a lot more money than I had. I'm like killing myself to get ahead. And these dudes got like this. So what I ended up doing, I ended up going active duty Air Force. And that's what put me in it. That's what actually put me in active duty Air Force, because my idea was to go in the Air Force, go to school, make money, maybe stay 4 years, and that would be it. That's not what happened. I went in the Air Force, I made money, I went to school, and I retired.
Right. How long were you in the military? How long were you in the Air Force?
20 years and 8 months.
20 years and 8 months. Wow.
And so and part of that excellence part, the military, but not only the stuff with the paper route and all the other stuff, the military had something to do with that.
Right. Because
I was in electronics, right? And there wasn't that many Black people in electronics. So you really, I knew and understand whatever I did, I had to do it to a high level because I was not judged the way that my peers were judged. And so I always did things better and more effectively than the people around me. And I believe that's a part of it. And the military system, it gives you a way of systematizing your thinking.
Right.
Because they give you books, they give you manuals, they give you guidelines of how to do things. And you understand what consistency brings. And if the military doesn't teach you anything else, it teaches you a level of discipline and consistency. Right. And I believe that was the biggest catalyst to running a brokerage, because the franchise had a book. So from that perspective, it was there. How to run a business, they did not have. I had never really run a business independently. What I did know is that relationships with people really mattered. So I formed great relationships with the people around me, and I'd always had great relationships anyway. And so between those relationships, that was the catalyst to making us the brokerage that we are today, because of those great relationships and people understanding your sincerity and how you deal with them and how you relate to them, how you respond to them. That matters. And people, when you get people in your circle, they want to be there and they want to do good by you, for you, and with you. So that was huge. That right there, it was huge.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, so clearly you brought that discipline from the military, and you can see it right in every, and every time I see you, whenever we always, cracking jokes on each other when we see each other talking about being, suited and booted and,
right,
shine and all that type of stuff. And so you can see that and the carryover. So when you left the military, was the thought immediately for real estate, or how did you get into real estate?
Let me go back. I was in the military and selling houses at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For 11 years and 8 months. And the reason how I got into real estate was because, again, going back to my mom, when I came back from Japan, I knew I had to buy a house because my mother always owned the house. Even though my mother never made more than $8.50 an hour in her life, I didn't know what it was like to live in a rented property. I do know that she owned 3 properties clear and free, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing how they did that, right?
I'm trying to tell you, man. So I knew renting was not an option, that I had to own a house. So by the time I was 21, I bought my first house.
Right.
And then what happened is I started teaching other military members how to buy a house because they had no clue and no concept. They were too busy buying brand new cars. You know, if you always see a military person, they always got a brand new car. and I was teaching, and then
they say they got to spend that money on something. So why not a car?
Yeah, you know, they live on base. They live on base housing on the base, and they drive a new car.
Right.
And then it got to a place where I was teaching people, you know, how to buy houses. And then what I started to be understanding is that somebody else is getting paid, and I'm at work teaching y'all how to buy houses. I should probably get my real estate license.
Right.
That was part of it. The other part is that I had an unfortunate service from another real estate professional. And I said, if these people can make this kind of a living giving poor services, if I gave great services, I could make a killing. So you know what I did for the next 11 years and 8 months, Brother Bedford? I made a killing off of real estate.
While you were in the military?
While I was in the military.
This is awesome.
Right? I had it so bad. It was just crazy, Brother Bedford. It was one time that they got mad at me when I first came to this one base, and they said, how is it that an E4 can buy a house and be in the military? And I'm in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. The first thing they said, he must be selling drugs.
Isn't that something?
But again, I told you where I was. So it's like, and then it got so bad, they was talking about me. So I said, you know what? And this is literally what I said. I said, if you get your fat ass wife off the sofa, right, and go to work and get a job, and you stop buying a new car every 4 years, you could buy a house too.
Right. And
they got mad at me. But you know what happened? About 3 years later, they bought a house from me.
I'm about to say they start following your instructions.
You know, and so but that's how it all started. And then so what happened is, as I got closer to retirement, I told you about my experiences with the different brokerages in other places.
Right.
And I got ready to retire probably about 3 years from me retiring. And I said, when I retire, I want to open up a brokerage. And I want to open up a brokerage in Prince George's County so that the real estate agents can have a great place to do business and learn something and be the best agents on the street. And the customers and clients can have a phenomenal place that's Black owned that they can do business in.
Right.
And I said, I wanted to have an office with 250 agents, Brother Bedford. And we opened up in 2004. By 2005, we had the 200 agents. By 2007, we had 300. By 2007, we had 300 agents. We've never been under 300 agents since 2007. But my target was 250. Right. Which is a very strong brokerage at any point in time. Absolutely. So, you know, and so this experience has exceeded my expectations. Man. Now, let me tell you the other part of how this is. You know, we in our community, we're rich with experience, we're rich with culture, we're rich with heritage. And what I go and I say that is we don't study our history, our lineage, and our history and heritage enough. And let me tell you what I really mean by that. We are people who were put in the most adverse conditions known to man ever, and we survived. How did we survive? We survived through our rituals, through our heritage, right? Through sheer grit, gut, and determination. And as George said, you know, he said before, you know, I believe God put his strongest people
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Put it
In
strong.
a place,
Put as strongest people in this condition. If you hadn't put us here, this country would have collapsed by now.
exactly.
Right.
And so with that, all that being said, we are a people of food. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I-
One of the biggest things, I'll tell anybody who has a company, if you want to get to know your people and you want to get to build strong relationships with your people, how did we do that, Brother Bedford? We did that over meals. Black
Right.
folks did that over meals.
Right.
Where were you on Sunday?
Right.
At the
Right.
family dinner table, right? I don't give a no matter what. If y'all ain't eat no dinner together, y'all had one meal together a week, because
Yeah.
then, you know, your mom and everybody had to be working somewhere.
Yeah.
But Sunday, well,
Sunday dinner.
everybody was at that table having a conversation. And so I took that into my business. And in our business, what happens is all of our events are surrounded by food,
Mhm.
because you don't eat with people who you don't like.
Right.
I don't give a damn where they invite you to
Right.
what meal. If you don't like them,
Ain't breaking bread with.
you ain't breaking bread with them. You're not doing it.
That's right.
And so that was one of the things that we did that was a strong point, was we got people breaking bread together, which formed different bonds and different relationships.
That's a powerful strategy, Emerick. I mean, I want to just pause you right there, because I think, you know, we just gloss over those things, and you're right. Just something as simple as that. So when I asked you earlier about building a team,
Right.
look at how you use the events of just breaking bread and how that formed these relationships. So go on, but I just wanted to pause that, because I want the audience to reflect on that, on what can you do to build or cement relationships and teams, and what other strategy that's so accessible like breaking bread. I mean, there's not too many other strategies that you can say, hey, let's have dinner Sunday or whatever.
If Brother Bedford, if somebody comes to visit you from out of town,
Right.
what do?
That's right.
We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go eat dinner together.
That's right.
So you giving us, and we did that a lot in our company. A lot of our events were surrounded by food, because number one, it gets people to stay longer.
Right.
Number two, it gets people to sit down. Number three, it gets people to have conversations that they would never have.
Mm.
And number four, the biggest thing that what it does is it helps people form relationships that they would never have, because you have conversations over food that you would never have over anything else.
This is good, man. This is real good, man. So, you know, man, so clearly everybody knows when I'm having these conversations, I always plant the seed for a part two, because there's just so many nuggets that you're dropping in. We can't unpack everything. So you definitely got to come back and we need to unpack some of this some more. But you mentioned something. So you really started building your real estate portfolio even before the brokerage. And so now you got the brokerage going. You built this phenomenal team, and it's sustained. I want you to talk about the life lessons real quick, because I know you're huge on that, man. I see the conversations you're having. You're always motivating. You're always dropping jewels. Again, your catchphrase is about having a phenomenal life, right? And so
absolutely,
you've built this phenomenal life. And when people even ask me, I always give you credit. They say, well, Brother Bedford, you know, how are things going? I said, man, you know, some people would die to have the problems that I have. And I got that from you, right? I tell people, this is what my man Emerick says all the time. And at first I used to just chuckle at it, but then after a while I started thinking about it and saying, you know, we're building a phenomenal life that a lot of people never even have that type of opportunity. So I want you to speak to that, the lessons, because you're always talking about a phenomenal life, but you're always weaving it into the lessons that your mother taught you. So as you're building this business, this phenomenal life you're building, give me 2 to 3 of your pillars or principles that you would like to share. Let's just say to those who are just starting their business. So let's just say the new or the budding entrepreneur,
right? And
then the seasoned entrepreneur who may feel stuck. What would you say to them in the context of building a phenomenal life?
Here's the deal, Brother Bedford. It's no different, right? Mm-hmm. If you're the blossoming, budding entrepreneur, you're the new person, the lesson is still the same, right? Mm-hmm. The lesson is just expanded a little bit. And so the first one is relationships. Relationships will take you places money can't, mm-hmm. right? And it comes back to that conversation, the same people you meet going up and the same people you meet coming down. Be careful the toes you step on. They might be connected to ass you have to kiss tomorrow. Because here's the deal. And again, there are some people who treated me not so good early in my real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the same people that were knocking at my door when my office became #1 and they wanted to do business with me.
Question. Let me call you. How did you handle that? How did you handle it?
How to handle that?
Yeah, how did you handle that?
Back then, you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. You're all on me. Yeah, I gave him to Mike Jones. I sure did. Yes, I did, Brother Bedford. Yes, I did.
I wasn't expecting you to give him to Mike Jones.
I gave him to Mike Jones, Brother Bedford.
This is good.
Yeah, and that's why that's where that point about relationships, because I drive it home so much, because with those that are up, those that are down.
Mm-hmm.
The key part about life is a circle and a cycle. So those that are down, you can't keep a good person, good thing, good business down but so long. Right. And they're going to come up. And I hope that the people who are up, right? They never rest and get comfortable being up. They still have to play like they're down.
Right.
So even when you're up, there's another one of my lessons. Even when you're up, play like you're down. Because the question is, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose?
Right. That's good. That's real.
You always play to win. You never play not to lose. I'm going to take you back. You ready?
Yeah, listening.
1993. Houston, 5-slammer jammer in North Carolina State.
Wow.
Houston played not to lose. Right. They had the best team. They played not to lose. North Carolina State were playing to win.
Yeah.
You get my drift?
Yeah. Yeah. So last second shot. Yep. I remember it vividly.
And that's what business is about. Business is always playing to win, not playing not to lose. Okay. And so the other part of that is, in business, you can't save your way to profitability.
Expound on that.
Well, here's the deal. When you're in business, you have to take a look at all your expenses. Now, you have to properly classify them. Is this an expense or is this an investment? Mm-hmm. It's two different things, Brother Bedford. Mm-hmm. Right? And so when there's some things, let me a new piece of equipment that's going to increase productivity by 50%. Is that an expense or an investment?
Oh, that's an investment.
Now,
about that.
And then some people say, well, I can't afford to buy that piece of equipment, right?
Right.
If you plan properly, right, and you map the course of your goals and your expectations to all of those around you, right, you can't afford not to buy that piece of equipment.
That's right.
Now, if you're not going to make plans and goals and get the people around you to do what they're supposed to do, then you can't afford that equipment.
Right.
It's two different conversations. But the fact is, you can't save your way to profitability, because in order to get to the next step, it's going to require that you make an investment in yourself. It's going to require that you make an investment in your business. Coming back to my agents, we know, again, we have this conversation. There are some of those agents that were at Power Networking that I actually paid for them to come to Power Networking. Mm-hmm. You know why?
Come on.
Because it was an investment.
Right.
I knew that they would get a better sense of who they are and where they were required to go in their business. And I knew that they would perform better in their business, which would make them better business people, which would make them a better asset to my company, which would cause an exponential growth ultimately in them as a person and the profitability of the company. Right. So I could have said, that's an expense that I don't want to pay. Or I could look at it and say, that's an investment because it's going to turn me 4x, 5x, 10x on my money.
Right.
And that's an assessment that we have to make. A new Mercedes-Benz is not an investment, Brother Bedford. It's an expense.
No doubt about it.
You get what I'm saying?
No doubt about it.
Because
there's no income coming in from that vehicle.
Brother Bedford, there could be, but you're not using it for that purpose.
That's right. That's right.
So consequently, right, that Toyota Avalon is going to get you there in a more reliable fashion, the same time, and the same condition. All you're doing most of the time is spending money on something to impress people who really don't give a damn about you.
That's right.
And that's business. And that's coming from somebody who owns 2 Mercedes-Benz.
You know, and not only that, these lessons and these nuggets, again, just to kind of put this in context,
right.
I mean, your agents, your sales team, you're perennially around $20 million.
Right.
I want to put that out there because, again, this is, you know, because the lessons that you're giving us, that you're sharing, are the lessons that have built this company that annually does these types of numbers, right? And so that needs to be reflected upon by those, you know, so because I've learned that sometimes people get some information and you can get the same information to 2 to 3 different people, but unless you recognize or acknowledge the source that the information is coming from, you kind of take it a little bit differently. So I want everybody to really put this into context. I mean, just your career. I mean, let me just kind of summarize it real quick as we're getting to the close here, man. Man, and you definitely got to do a part 2. So you know you got to come back, Emerick. So you know,
that's no problem.
Yeah,
but
so,
you that's not even a question for you, Brother Bedford.
Yeah,
that's without asking.
Yeah, because this is too good, man. I could talk to you for the next 2 hours, man. I mean, we could put on some nuggets for the next 2 hours, but we got to be respectful of time. But let me just summarize this real quick. You gave us your background, the discipline, going into the military, but I want people to kind of track how you started going into the military, the discipline and everything that you acquired in the military, but then halfway through, a little bit over halfway through, a little bit less, whatever. Thing is, you said 11 years. I think it was 11 years. How you started building your portfolio and to where you are now with this phenomenal company, right? He's big on this phenomenal life and this phenomenal company. And this has been over what? How long is this? 27 years?
29 years.
29 years. So it's not something that happened overnight, but you consistently stay disciplined and principled throughout the process. And you have this phenomenal company that you have now.
Okay, time out, Brother Bedford. We talk about discipline, right?
Yeah.
Let's be clear, we have moments of discipline.
Right, okay.
Nobody's ever fully disciplined. So let's make that clear. I don't want nobody to think, oh, this dude does everything right all the time.
Right. I mean, like he's a crack soldier, right?
No.
Well, no, because there had to be some mistakes, and that's why I want you to come back.
Tons of mistakes, brother.
Yeah, because even when you got those first 250 agents, I love what you mentioned, and I was going to ask you the question. I mean, that was right before the downturn in 2008. You know, I would love to know how you handled those agents and the shifts that the business went through in 2008.
Let me give you this one, Brother Bedford. Remember, I told you, when you up, play like you down.
Right.
We were up, and I never played like I was up.
Right.
I was still down. We still had to learn. We still had to grow. We still had to do things. And it's kind of interesting. In my business life, I ran like I was up. In my personal life, my business life, I played like I was down. In my personal life, I played like I was up. That's the crazy part, right? And so that comes back to, this thing where people say you will do things for other people that you won't do for yourself.
Right.
Again, that's one of those lessons.
Right.
That's one of those lessons, but it's just life. But again, the whole point about that is, in business, always play like you down.
That's good.
I didn't say you had to have the attitude that you were down. You just have to play like you down.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of something like Les Brown saying you always got to be hungry, right? You got to
always.
Yeah.
Always, you know.
This is good, man. I can talk to you forever, man. This is good stuff. And I just got so many thoughts going through my head. And so we definitely got to, do another one. We need to make this a recurring theme. Because it's just too many.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just too many nuggets that need to be shared. So but we're going to have Emerick coming back to drop the bombs. I mean, because we get a lot of questions. A lot of people want to know what's happening in the real estate market now. Is it a bubble? Is it not a bubble? What's happening? And you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in real estate on so many angles, so many agents. I mean, you're one of those, I guess you would call it a hub, where there's just so much data that's coming into you that you can kind of give some insights that most people who are just on the periphery couldn't give. So we definitely got to just probably do something on that real soon about the real estate market and what it's doing. So we'll do that. So let me, any closing state first, what's your big ask? What do you want the audience to do? Is there a website, a book, or what you got going on that you want to share with the people for them to kind of either contact you or, take a deeper dive with you?
You know what, Brother Bedford, I do a session every Thursday at 4:30, right? And it's called Conversations with Emerick. I call it this. My whole thing for 2021 is the year of the conqueror, right? Because coming out of 2020 after pandemic, there's a lot of things that change and shape, just changing and shaping the way that we think, the way that we do business, and so many different things that we have to overcome just mentally, right? And so for me, 2021 is the year of the conqueror. And every Thursday at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, I have a conversation. Sometimes I have a guest. Sometimes it's just me dropping knowledge. And at the end of the day, it's an interactive conversation because I want the people inside that session to share. Even though I am a real estate professional, we're always having business conversations. So whatever the conversation, whatever it is something that can be applicable to any business. It's not just real estate, it's about business. And what I'll give you an example, like today, the conversation was, you are in the relationship business, right? And one of the things behind that was that why do some people stay in business longer than other people? Because of their relationships. Why do some people thrive in their sales? Because of their relationship, and then we broke it down to, emotional intelligence. Why do some people thrive in their business? Because, and why they have so many great relationships? Because they have a high EQ. And that's what people with high EQ do, is they form better relationships, which ultimately in business make sure that they retain and get more referrals, retain more clients and get more referrals. And so that's what our dialogue was about today. And that's any business. I get all kinds of people in there. But one of the things I want to drop on folks is this, right? It doesn't matter what business that you're in, right? You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the best. It's kind of sort of like being in the jungle. You don't have to be the fastest gazelle. You just have to run faster than the slowest gazelle.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you just have to be consistent, right? Because the fastest gazelle will slow up at some point.
That's good. That's good.
The fastest gazelle will slow up at some point. And if the fastest gazelle take off at the block faster and the line is a little bit slower, the line runs consistently. Then that fast gazelle slows up. And then the gazelle that wasn't as fast as the fastest gazelle just keep on going while the fastest gazelle slows up. Who does the lion get?
The one who slowed down. That's right.
Moral of the story, don't slow down.
That's right. This is good. This is good. How can they join these conversations? How can they join?
You can always go to my Facebook page.
Okay. How do they access? That's at
just my Emerick Peace.
Okay.
And nothing secret. All of my posts, everything is wide open on my Facebook page. I ain't running from nobody. I ain't hiding from nobody. So I don't have no little secret where you got to do certain things to get to my page. It's a public page. Unfortunately, I can't accept any more friends.
Right.
You can always read everything that I have. I probably should convert to a business page and get followers. That's probably what I should do.
Right. I know people
probably
got to be the next stage, right? Especially if you're going to start having these conversations, people want to know when you're going live.
That's what I'm supposed to do, Brother Bedford. But however, I told you, I'm consistent. I'm either consistently good or consistently bad. Either way, I'm consistent.
You said that at the very beginning, right? You got a preface for that, but we're definitely gonna have that on here for people to contact you,
Okay.
And to at least join those conversations and listen.
You know what I'm gonna do, Brother Bedford? You
What's
can
that?
copy this link. I am going to put this link in the chat. How about that?
Let me see. Go ahead.
And my link never changes, just so you're clear. My
Is it
link for my
Facebook
session. Wait a minute, I'm gonna put it in right now. My link for my session never changes. So I keep the same link. So if people don't have to come to my page every week, I mean, to figure out
where they gotta go. Okay, so we'll make sure that that's posted here once you put that in there.
Yeah, for some reason, when I decided to do this, my computer locked up on me.
Don't worry about it. I'll get it, and I'll get it from you. And we'll just make sure that it's scrolling right here at the bottom of the screen so that people will not miss it when we go live. So we'll have it posted with the bio and everything else. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Emerick, this has been, man, this has just been awesome, man. Again, we will have more conversations like this where we'll dive into some specific subjects, because I already know just from my years of interacting with you at the Power Networking Conference, we didn't even get into, we always talk about, you always got a book that you're recommending or something. So there's always knowledge that you're sharing with us who are part of our group.
Right.
Follow George. So I really appreciate you, man. And thank you so much for all of the time and the information and the wisdom that you shared. And so again, if you like this, first, make sure you go to Emerick's Facebook page. Just look below and just go to that link. We'll have that for you. But like this page, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this with not just one friend or two friends. Find 100 brothers and sisters that that need this type of information, and tell them they need to watch this and learn what Emerick Peace had to share about business and life, and how he built this phenomenal life and this phenomenal business. All right. So Emerick, once again, thank you, dear brother. I really do appreciate you. And we'll go ahead and get ready to sign off. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon, dear brother.
Yes, sir. And I just put it in the chat right now. So if you look in the chat, the link is in the chat.
Yep, we got it. We're going to copy that. The whole thing will be right at the bottom here. Really do appreciate it. All right. Thank you, dear brother. Everybody, we hope you have a great day, and we'll be back here again next week with another exciting episode of The Masters of Business. So take care, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, dear brother.
Okay.